It's amazing how many people believe that life is about circumstances, as if where you were born, who your parents are, what you studied, or what happened to you last year are the keys to where you're headed next. But life doesn't work that way. The truth is, you can take two people and give them the same opportunity, the same resources, and even the same amount of time, and they'll produce completely different results. Why? Because the difference isn't in what they have. It's in how they think. It's in their mindset. Your mindset is the internal compass that determines how you interpret situations, how you react to failure, how you plan your day, and how you face uncertainty. If your mindset is set to positive, even the worst storms can't sink your ship. But if your mindset is negative, even calm waters can feel like a struggle. That's how powerful your mindset is. It's the steering wheel of your life. It doesn't just influence your direction, it determines it. Think of the person who wakes up every morning and says, "Today's going to be tough," before the day has even started. That person has already programmed their mind to expect resistance, to feel stress, to notice problems. And they'll usually find exactly what they've set out to see. But now picture the person who says, "I'm going to find something good in today no matter what." That small internal shift changes the lens. It's like putting on a different pair of glasses. Same day, same challenges, but now they see opportunity instead of obstacle. That's not magic, that's mindset. A positive mindset doesn't mean you lie to yourself. It means you choose to see things in a way that fuels action instead of fear. A person with a positive mindset doesn't say, "This is easy." They say, "Even if it's hard, I can handle it." That one decision, choosing to believe in your own ability rather than surrendering to worry, is the first spark of transformation. When you realize that you control your perspective, you begin to take control of your life. Mindset affects how you talk to yourself. It determines whether your inner voice is your coach or your critic. Some people sabotage themselves with every decision because they've allowed a negative mindset to become their default setting. They think small, they fear big, and they act slow. But people with a positive mindset become their own best ally. They encourage themselves. They speak strength into their situation. They look for a way forward instead of a reason to give up. Let's go deeper. Your mindset influences your habits. A person who believes in growth will study longer, try harder, and persist longer than someone who thinks life is fixed. Why? Because their internal belief says, "If I keep going, I'll get better." And belief becomes behavior. A positive mindset doesn't just make you feel better, it drives you to do better. Your mindset impacts your energy, your time, your relationships, everything. Success is not a mystery when you understand the role of mindset. Your income, your fitness, your relationships, they all respond to how you think. The wrong mindset will make you doubt opportunities. The right mindset will help you recognize them and act on them. Some people miss out on growth, not because they lack talent, but because they refuse to adjust their thinking. They let fear park the car when they should be driving forward. Life throws unexpected turns. There are setbacks, rejections, failures. But with the right mindset, every detour becomes a lesson, not a loss. The question is never, "What happened?" The better question is, "What can I think differently about this that will move me forward?" If you ask that question daily, you start reprogramming the direction of your life. Positive thinking isn't just about being cheerful. It's about being in control of your direction. When you realize that your mindset is the steering wheel, you stop blaming the road. You stop cursing the weather, the traffic, the bumps along the way. You put your hands back on the wheel and ask, "Where do I want to go?" Because that question reminds you that you're the one driving. A negative mindset waits for the right road. A positive mindset drives forward and makes the road right. People often hope for a life without difficulty, a path free from stress, obstacles, or hardship. But that very desire is the reason so many remain stuck where they are. Growth doesn't happen when life is easy. It happens when life tests you, when you're under pressure, when nothing seems to go your way, and yet you keep moving forward anyway. Challenges are not interruptions to your journey. They are part of the process. They're not barriers, they're builders. The soil doesn't just grow anything, it grows what's planted in it and what is nurtured through the seasons. And life's challenges are the fertile soil where your strength, discipline, patience, and character are planted, tested, and eventually revealed. If you think back to any moment where you truly grew mentally, emotionally, or spiritually, it probably wasn't when everything was going your way. It was during the times when you had to make hard choices, when your back was against the wall, when quitting was an option but you didn't take it. That's the moment when something inside you changed. That's when you got stronger. That's when growth happened. Not because the challenge made you weaker, but because the challenge demanded a version of you that was stronger than the one you were yesterday. It's in those tough seasons when your habits are tested. Anyone can be motivated when everything is comfortable. But how do you speak to yourself when the plan doesn't work? What do you do when your effort isn't producing results? Most people shrink. They stop. They say, it's too hard. But the person who understands the purpose of a challenge sees something different. They say, this is where I build something valuable. Because they understand that growth has a price, and the currency is difficulty. Look at the gym. Growth doesn't happen by staring at the weights. It comes from resistance. When the muscle is strained, it tears slightly, and in healing, it comes back stronger. The same law applies to your mindset. Challenges tear down your excuses. They expose your weaknesses. And in doing so, they give you the chance to rebuild yourself better. If you never face resistance, you never find out what you're capable of. Most people are walking around avoiding challenge and wondering why they don't feel fulfilled. But fulfillment isn't hiding in comfort. It's built through struggle. When you plant a seed, it has to fight through the dirt to reach the sun. It doesn't look pleasant. It's dark. It's silent. It's lonely. But that battle through the soil is necessary for the seed to become what it was meant to be. And that's exactly how your potential works. It's buried inside you. But it only rises when it's pushed, challenged, and forced to reach for something higher. The dirt isn't the enemy. It's the environment for transformation. That means the challenge isn't your enemy either. It's the condition required for you to rise. Some people ask for an easier life, but wise people ask for stronger minds. They welcome the challenge because they know every difficulty holds a lesson. Every obstacle offers wisdom. Every hardship is a classroom for the next version of you. Instead of running from the challenge, they lean into it. Not because they love pain, but because they love who they become when they don't quit. They understand that pain has a purpose if you're willing to listen to it. Most people miss the value of a challenge because they judge it too quickly. They see a delay as a failure. They see a rejection as the end. They see a struggle as proof that they're not good enough. But the truth is, challenges don't stop you from winning. They prepare you for it. They teach you patience. They refine your focus. They show you who you really are and what you truly want. Nothing exposes your values faster than a challenge. Do you want it badly enough to keep going? Or do you crumble when things get uncomfortable? Every successful person has been through challenges, but what separates them isn't luck. It's their mindset. They viewed their challenge not as punishment, but as preparation. And preparation is where champions are built. They didn't complain about the difficulty. They committed to growth through it because they understood that everything they were hoping for was on the other side of that challenge, not on the sidelines of safety. Growth doesn't happen just because you want it. It happens because you're willing to fight for it, to sweat for it, and to rise through the very pressure most people avoid. Every day, from the moment you open your eyes until the moment you fall asleep, there is a silent voice running in your head. This voice speaks without rest, shaping your emotions, choices, and eventually your reality. Most people don't pay attention to it, yet it's the most powerful influence in their life. Because whatever you think about repeatedly, whether good or bad, begins to form the foundation of who you are. Thoughts are not random noise. They are the building blocks of your mindset, and your mindset shapes your identity. You don't wake up successful, confident, or optimistic by accident. Those are all outcomes of consistent thinking. If you feed your mind with doubt, you begin to act uncertain. If you dwell on fear, you begin to avoid opportunities. If you constantly think of what's missing, what's wrong, and what might go wrong, your mind becomes a trap rather than a tool. But if you direct your thoughts toward growth, gratitude, and solutions, then your mind becomes a force that works for you rather than against you. People often underestimate the influence of repetitive thoughts. One small negative idea doesn't seem like much, but it doesn't stop there. That thought repeats, it grows, it multiplies, and soon it becomes a belief becomes a pattern becomes a lifestyle, and eventually your entire reality is shaped by something that started as just one small unchecked thought. That's why it's not just important to think, it's important to think deliberately. Your mind is fertile ground, and the seeds you plant in it, good or bad, are going to take root. The person who always sees the worst in others begins to lose trust in themselves. The one who always thinks about failure starts expecting it before they even try. But there's another way to live, a way that begins with changing the quality of your thoughts. When you think about possibility, you begin to notice opportunity. When you think about solutions, you become resourceful. When you think about progress, you start to move even when the path isn't clear. That's the power of directing your thinking rather than living as a victim of it. If you want to change your life, you must change what you think about most of the time, not once in a while, not when you feel inspired, but consistently. Because transformation is a result of repetition. It's not one great thought that changes your life. It's the habit of thinking well. Some people are addicted to their own negativity. They rehearse every failure, every hurt, every frustration. And then they wonder why life doesn't feel exciting or fulfilling. But they don't realize they've been feeding their minds with poison. And your mind will believe anything you tell it often enough. What you continually think about is what you begin to expect. If you expect struggle, you brace for it. If you expect rejection, you resist connection. But when you begin to think in terms of growth, hope, and direction, your expectations rise. And when your expectations rise, your actions follow. People act according to what they believe is possible. Raise your thoughts and your actions rise too. That's how you shift your entire direction, by changing what you feed your mind every single day. It's also true that the world responds to the energy you give it. If your dominant thoughts are filled with gratitude, people notice. If your thoughts are driven by envy and resentment, people feel that too. Your energy introduces you before you speak. And your energy comes from your thoughts. You don't have to fake positivity, but you do need to focus on what builds you instead of what breaks you. Not because it's easy, but because you can't afford to be careless with the most powerful tool you've been given. You don't control everything that happens around you, but you do control what happens in you. And what happens in you becomes the lens through which you see your entire world. Some people spend years trying to change their situation without ever changing their thinking. But lasting change always begins in the mind, because before you can have a better life, you have to think a better life. And you do that by making a daily decision to guard your mind, guide your focus, and discipline your thoughts to serve your future, not your fear. One of the most underestimated forces shaping a person's mindset is the company they keep. The people you spend your time with are not just passing time with you. They are quietly influencing your beliefs, your attitude, and even your level of ambition. Human beings are social by design, and whether we're aware of it or not, we absorb the energy, mindset, and habits of those around us. If you surround yourself with people who complain constantly, settle for less, and blame everything on circumstances, you'll find yourself slowly becoming like them, not because you chose that path, but because you allowed that environment to influence your direction. You can't maintain a positive, focused, and driven mindset in a circle that celebrates mediocrity. It's impossible to consistently grow when your surroundings are filled with people who mock discipline and treat ambition like a joke. The conversations you hear every day matter. If you're surrounded by people who always talk about what they can't do, what won't work, and what's wrong with the world, your mindset begins to reflect that same energy. You start to internalize those limitations, even if they were never yours to begin with. But the reverse is also true. Spend time with people who think big, who take responsibility for their lives, who focus on solutions and growth, and something begins to shift inside you. Their energy becomes your motivation. Their discipline rubs off on you. Their vision expands your perspective. You don't need to copy them. You just need to be close enough to catch the mindset they operate from. Because the right association doesn't just encourage you, it challenges you. It calls you to rise higher, to think better, and to demand more of yourself. Many people struggle with their mindset, not because they lack potential, but because they are constantly exposed to environments that suppress growth. They try to stay positive, but they keep going back to conversations that drain them. They try to stay focused, but they're surrounded by distractions disguised as friends. They want to level up, but their inner circle is anchored in fear and self-doubt. It's like trying to climb a mountain with people who insist on sitting at the bottom, telling you how dangerous it is up there. Your environment either nourishes your goals or suffocates them. It either fuels your vision or clouds it. That's why you must be intentional about who you give your time, your attention, and your energy to, because those are your most valuable resources, and the wrong associations will waste them without a second thought. Every conversation is a deposit. Every interaction is a seed. The question is, what are you allowing to be planted in your mind every day, and what kind of harvest is it leading to? Some people might say, but these are my old friends. I've known them for years. That may be true, but longevity doesn't equal alignment. Just because someone's been around a long time doesn't mean they're right for where you're going. Growth often requires separation. It doesn't mean you stop loving people. It means you love your future enough to protect it. If someone constantly brings doubt, drama, or negativity into your space, you have to decide what matters more, their comfort or your calling. And here's the real test after spending time with someone. Ask yourself, do I feel drained or inspired? That answer will tell you everything. The people who sharpen you will stretch your thinking, not shrink it. They'll speak life into your vision, not mock it. They'll challenge your excuses, not comfort them. They won't always tell you what you want to hear, but they'll remind you of who you're capable of becoming. And that is priceless. Your mindset is not just a product of what you read or listen to. It's shaped powerfully by what you're exposed to daily. The conversations you participate in, the energy you absorb, the standards you accept, all of it is molding your internal world. If you want to change your life, change your circle. Get around people who make you feel like your dreams are valid, your discipline is respected, and your potential is worth protecting. Because when your environment believes in growth, it becomes much easier to believe in yourself. There's a hidden power in life that most people overlook because it seems too simple, too quiet, too ordinary. That power is gratitude. Gratitude is not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing to focus on what's still working when everything else feels like it's falling apart. It's the ability to see the light in the middle of darkness, to count what's left instead of what's lost, and to value progress even when it feels slow. Gratitude doesn't just improve your mood, it strengthens your mindset, recalibrates your perspective, and gives you the emotional endurance to keep moving forward. A grateful mind sees possibilities where others see problems. When life gets difficult, most people default to complaint. They dwell on what's missing, what's unfair, what's frustrating. But gratitude invites you to look deeper. It says, yes, this may be hard, but what can I still be thankful for right now? That one question shifts your entire experience. It doesn't deny the struggle, it gives you strength to walk through it. Because when your heart is full of gratitude, your spirit doesn't break as easily. You become grounded, you become resilient, you become unshackable. Gratitude sharpens your vision. It helps you see the good that's already in your life. Most people think they need more to be thankful. They say, I'll be grateful when I get the promotion, when I lose the weight, when I hit the goal. But they miss the fact that waiting to be grateful is like waiting to put gas in the car until after the trip. Gratitude isn't the result of success. It's the foundation for it. The more you appreciate what you already have, the more you unlock the energy to pursue what you don't yet have. When you start your day with gratitude, you don't need motivation from the outside. You create momentum from the inside. Gratitude reminds you that not everything has to be perfect for something to be beautiful. It teaches you to enjoy the journey, not just the destination. And when you operate from that mindset, stress loses its grip on you. You stop rushing through life and you start respecting the moments that make life meaningful. That shift doesn't just affect your thoughts. It transforms your relationships, your work, your health, your impact. It's easy to be grateful when everything's going well. But the real test is when things are uncertain, when plans fall through, when you feel like you're stuck in a season you didn't ask for. That's when gratitude becomes more than a feeling. It becomes a discipline. It becomes a decision you make, not because life is perfect, but because your focus has power. Gratitude gives you control. It says, I may not control the event, but I can control how I respond to it. And I choose to respond with appreciation, not bitterness. Even in your lowest moments, there is always something to be grateful for. A lesson, a person who stood by you, a strength you discovered in yourself, a door that closed, only to lead you to a better one. Gratitude helps you see that life is not happening to you. It's happening for you. And when you live from that place, you no longer operate from lack. You operate from abundance. You stop chasing happiness because you start realizing that happiness grows in the soil of gratitude. Gratitude also changes your energy. It's magnetic. People want to be around someone who appreciates life, who notices the good, who uplifts the room instead of draining it. When you walk in gratitude, you carry a presence that speaks louder than words. You stop needing to prove yourself because you already recognize your worth. You stop competing out of insecurity because you're too focused on growth. That mindset attracts peace. It attracts opportunities. It even attracts people who match your frequency. There's something deeply powerful about looking at your life and saying, it's not perfect, but it's mine, and I'm thankful. That kind of thinking doesn't just elevate your day, it elevates your entire future. Gratitude reminds you that your life may not look like someone else's, but that doesn't make it any less valuable. And when you treat what you have with honor, life often responds by giving you more to be grateful for. Gratitude opens your eyes, softens your heart, strengthens your resolve, and fuels a life that's rich from the inside out. A positive mindset without discipline is like a car with no engine. It might look good, it might feel inspiring, but it won't take you anywhere. True positivity is not just about how you feel. It's about what you do with those feelings. Discipline is the engine that turns a hopeful thought into a meaningful result. It's the daily choice to act on your values, not your emotions. And when discipline meets positivity, they create a force strong enough to overcome excuses, outlast resistance, and carry you through seasons where motivation alone would never be enough. Discipline isn't loud or flashy. It doesn't wait for applause. It works quietly in the background, showing up early, staying late, doing the work that most people avoid. And that kind of discipline is rooted in mindset. Because the only reason someone keeps pushing forward when it's hard, boring, or uncomfortable is because they believe something better is ahead. That belief, that unshakable confidence in a better future, is the fruit of a positive mindset. You don't stay disciplined by accident. You stay disciplined because your thinking is aligned with your purpose. Many people talk about having a positive attitude, but then let their actions contradict it. They hope for better, but they don't plan for it. They speak of growth, but they don't invest in it. They talk about change, but they won't show up consistently enough to make it real. Positivity without structure becomes fantasy, but when it's anchored in discipline, it becomes transformation. A disciplined person with a positive outlook doesn't just talk about their goals. They wake up early, they stay focused, they make sacrifices. And over time, those small acts of discipline compound into massive change. Discipline means showing up for yourself even when nobody's watching. It's easy to be consistent when everything's going your way. But what happens when progress is slow, when the results don't come fast enough, or when life throws distractions your way? That's when most people give up. But the ones who keep going, the ones who keep choosing positive action over comfort, are the ones who understand that success is built on routine, not bursts of inspiration. They don't wait to feel like it. They don't chase motivation. They live by values, not by moods. Positivity gives you the vision. Discipline gives you the strategy. Together, they keep you aligned. The danger in chasing positivity alone is that you can become addicted to good feelings, always needing inspiration to move. But discipline teaches you to move regardless of how you feel. It teaches you to finish what you start, to do hard things, to delay gratification. And those very practices protect your mindset from falling apart when life gets heavy. You become tougher, wiser, and more stable, not because you never face pressure, but because you've trained yourself to respond with purpose. When you commit to discipline, you give your positive thoughts a place to live. A goal without a routine is just a wish, but discipline turns wishes into targets and targets into results. That's why people who pair positivity with discipline achieve more. They're not just dreamers, they're doers. They don't need perfect conditions to begin. They create momentum through action. And action, repeated over time, reshapes identity. That's how you become someone who doesn't just believe in progress. You expect it because your habits are proof of your commitment. There's a quiet confidence that comes from doing what needs to be done, even when no one's watching. That's the kind of confidence that doesn't depend on external validation. It comes from the inside, from knowing that your mind and your actions are working in harmony. That kind of alignment doesn't just build success, it builds peace. Because you stop wrestling with guilt, with delay, with regret. You become clear, and clarity gives your positive mindset the room it needs to breathe and grow. Every disciplined act is a vote for your future. And when you combine that with a mindset that refuses to dwell in negativity, you create a lifestyle of intentional living. You're not reacting to life anymore. You're leading it. That's the difference between living in circles and living with direction. One is passive, always waiting for the right time. The other is active, building each day with purpose and resilience. When positivity fuels your attitude and discipline shapes your habits, you become a person who doesn't just wish for better. You become the reason better happens. A positive mindset is not a luxury reserved for the lucky or the naturally optimistic. It's a decision, a discipline, and a daily practice. It's the choice to take control of your thoughts, to frame challenges as opportunities, to focus on what you can build rather than what you've lost. And when you align that mindset with disciplined action, everything begins to change. You steer your life with intention. You face obstacles with resilience. You shape your identity through what you think, who you surround yourself with, what you're grateful for, and how consistently you show up. Success isn't just about having talent or luck. It's about building a life from the inside out. A positive mindset, fueled by gratitude, surrounded by the right people, empowered by disciplined effort, becomes the foundation for everything you want to achieve. It's not a quick fix. It's a way of life that turns ordinary people into extraordinary forces for growth, impact, and lasting change.